My name is Arthur. I am 45 years old. For 30 long years, I was like a ghost in this big, busy city. I was a shadow that nobody wanted to see. I slept on the cold, hard concrete every night. I ate food that people threw in the trash. I was a man with no home, no family, and no hope for tomorrow. But today, everything is very different. I wear a clean, smart suit. I have a big desk with my name on it. I have a good job now, but I still have a secret. A simple piece of bread and a cardboard box saved my soul. I never thought my life would truly start during a deadly winter snowstorm. So I do not remember much about being a happy child. I only remember the biting cold. My parents were very, very poor. We lived in a small, broken house. When I was only 8 years old, my father took me to a busy bus station. The air was cold and gray. "Wait here, Arthur," he whispered. His voice was shaking with sadness. He gave me a small, red apple. He told me they would be back soon with plenty of food. I finished that apple very slowly. I waited until the moon came high up in the sky. Then I waited for 3 long days and 3 long nights. I stood there until my legs felt heavy, like they were made of stone. But they never returned. I whispered to myself, maybe they just forgot me. I felt so alone in the world. Later, I realized the truth. They were just too poor to keep me, and they had no choice. I grew up in the dark shadows of the city buildings. I learned how to read from old, dirty newspapers I found in the street. I only finished the first grade of school. I felt very ashamed of my life. I am not a smart man, I thought many times. But I lived by one very important rule. I never stole. I never hurt anyone. I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to have integrity, even if I was a very hungry man. I spent my life working small, difficult jobs. I carried heavy bags at the market. I washed dirty cars until my back was aching, but I always lost my place to live. I never had a real future. I never had a warm home. By the age of 44, I had nothing but a cardboard box and a thin coat. People looked at me with mean faces. "Go away, you dirty man," they shouted. They did not see the heart beating inside me. They only saw my dirty skin and messy hair. I walked the streets like a ghost. No money, no home, no hope. I felt like a protector, but I had no one to protect. That changed on a cold Tuesday night. The winter in the city was like a monster that year. The white snow was 2 feet deep everywhere. I sat alone in a dark, frozen alley. My stomach felt like it was eating itself. It was a sharp, biting pain that would not go away. I found a small corner behind a warm bakery. The smell of fresh bread was everywhere, but I only had one old piece of bread in my pocket. Suddenly, I heard a small, soft cry. It sounded like a little bird that was hurt. I looked around the corner of the dark alley. I saw a little boy. He was about 7 years old. He was sitting near a dirty trash can. He wore only a thin, red sweater. His skin was the color of ice. His small hands were shaking very hard. I felt a cold shiver run down my back. I moved closer to him. My heart was beating very fast. "Are you lost, little one?" I asked him very softly. He looked at me with big eyes full of tears. "I cannot find my daddy," he whispered to me. "It is too cold, mister. I want to go home." I looked at the long, empty street. I hoped for a miracle. Maybe a police car would drive by. I waited 1 minute. Then I waited 5 minutes. But the street stayed empty and quiet. Everyone else was inside their warm, bright homes. They were safe. I felt a deep sadness in my chest for this boy. "Do not cry," I told him. I tried to be strong. "I will help you. We will wait for the sun together." I thought everything would be okay. But then the weather changed quickly. The wind became stronger and louder. It was a blizzard now. The snow hit my face like tiny, sharp stones. "I am so hungry, mister," the boy whispered. He looked so small and weak. I looked at my dry piece of bread. It was my only food. My own body was shaking from hunger and the freezing cold. I thought about my own empty stomach, but then I saw his blue lips. I knew what I had to do. I broke the bread into 2 pieces. Then I gave it all to him. "Eat this," I said. "It will give you strength." I watched him eat every single crumb. I felt my own stomach burn with pain. I whispered to myself, "I can survive this." I felt a heavy responsibility. I remembered being a lonely boy at a bus station. I knew how it felt to be forgotten. No family, no home. But this time I would not let him be alone. I pulled the boy close to the wall. I opened my large cardboard box. This was my only bed and my only treasure. "This is our castle," I joked. I wanted him to feel brave. He looked at the cardboard and smiled a little. "A castle?" he asked. "Yes," I said, "and I am your guard." "No one can enter our castle." I put him inside the box. I took off my old, thin coat and wrapped it around him. I sat in the snow at the entrance. I was a shield of flesh and bone. The wind hit my back over and over. It felt like ice needles in my skin. My body was numb, but my heart felt full. I knew I could not sleep. If I slept, the cold would take us. I had to stay awake. I had to be his shield against the winter. I whispered his name, Toby, to stay busy. But my eyes were getting heavy. The world started to spin. I thought to myself, I must stay awake. I cannot fail him. The night was endless. I bit my lips to stay awake. I sang old songs in my head to forget the ice in my bones. I knew if I closed my eyes, I would never wake up. Suddenly, around 6 in the morning, bright lights hit my face. I blinked because I was blinded by the light. Blue and red lights danced on the white snow. Sirens screamed loudly in the quiet alley. A tall man in a long black coat ran toward us. He looked very terrified. His face was pale and wet with tears. "Toby, Toby," he shouted. I tried to stand up to help him, but my legs were frozen. They felt like heavy stones. I fell hard into the cold, deep snow. I could not move my body. The man saw me lying there. He saw a dirty, scary man sitting over his little son. What did you do to him? He yelled at me. His voice was full of anger and fear. He pushed me very hard. My body was weak and numb. I hit my head on the hard brick wall. Everything went gray for a moment. I took a slow, painful breath. The world was spinning around me. Daddy, Toby's voice broke the silence. He jumped out of the cardboard box. The man grabbed Toby quickly. He was checking Toby's face. Are you okay? Did he hurt you? Toby grabbed his father's shaking hand. No, Daddy, he saved me, the boy cried. He gave me his bread. He gave me his house. He did not sleep, Daddy. He watched the wind for me. The father, Mr. Bennet, stopped moving. For a long moment, everything was quiet. He looked at the wet, broken cardboard box. He saw my old, dirty coat on Toby's small shoulders. Then he finally looked down at me. I was lying in the deep, white snow. I was only wearing a thin white shirt. My skin was a pale, scary blue color. I was shivering so hard that my teeth were clicking together. It was a sharp, clicking sound. My hands were shaking. I could not feel my feet anymore. I felt the cold trying to pull me into a dark sleep, but I looked at Toby. I saw he was warm. I saw he was alive. I managed to give him a tiny smile. You are safe now, I whispered. My voice was so weak, I could barely hear it myself. I whispered to myself, I kept my promise. Mr. Bennet's face changed instantly. The anger in his eyes was gone. Instead, I saw deep shame and regret. He was a billionaire, a very powerful man, but at that moment he looked very small. Tears ran down his face and fell into the snow. He quickly took off his heavy, expensive wool coat. He knelt in the snow and wrapped it around my cold body. I felt the heat hit my skin. I took a deep sigh of relief. I am a fool, he sobbed, holding me close. I woke up in a room that was very bright and very white. The air was warm and smelled like clean soap. I felt something soft under my back. I realized I was lying on a real bed with white sheets. I tried to sit up, but my body felt very heavy. I looked to my right and saw a man sitting in a chair. It was Mr. Bennet. He was wearing a dark suit now. He looked at me and gave me a kind smile. Do not move too fast, Arthur, he said softly. The doctors said you were very sick. You had something called pneumonia. I did not know that big word. I only knew that my chest felt tight and sore. Where is Toby? I asked. My voice sounded like dry leaves rubbing together. Toby is safe at home, Mr. Bennet replied. He asks about his hero every single hour. My heart felt a warm glow. I am not a hero, I whispered. I am just a man from the alley. Mr. Bennet stood up and walked to my bedside. He looked into my eyes with a very serious face. In that alley you had nothing, he said. You were freezing and you were starving, but you gave my son your only food. You gave him your only coat. He paused and took a deep breath. Most people would have taken his expensive watch or his silver shoes, but you protected him like he was your own son. That makes you a hero. I felt tears in my eyes. No one had ever said kind words to me before. I felt like a human being for the first time in 30 years. I was not a ghost anymore. Mr. Bennet then told me something life-changing. I own a very large company, he explained. We move big ships and trucks across the whole world. He told me he wanted to give me a job. I cannot do that, I said. I felt a deep shame inside. I am not a smart man. I only finished the first grade. I do not know how to use computers or big machines. Mr. Bennett shook his head. Arthur, I can pay people to be smart. I can pay people to use computers, but I cannot buy a good heart. I cannot buy honesty. He told me he would help me learn. He said he would pay for my school and give me a small home. I could not believe my ears. It felt like a beautiful dream. A few days later, a nurse brought me a small gift. It was a drawing from Toby. It showed a big cardboard castle and a man with a golden shield. Under the picture, it said, "Thank you, Arthur." I held that paper close to my chest. I knew my life in the shadows was over. I was ready to start a new journey. I was ready to leave the alley forever. Mr. Bennett kept every promise he made to me. I moved into a small, warm apartment with a real bed. I cried the first night I slept there. The blankets felt like soft clouds against my skin. I started my new job at Mr. Bennett's shipping company. I did not sit in a big, fancy office at first. I worked in the warehouse, helping to organize the large boxes. I was very happy to be busy. I worked harder than anyone else. I was always on time. I never complained when the work was difficult. I was just happy to have a real purpose every day. Every afternoon, I went to a special school. I learned how to read and write much better. I even learned how to use a computer. My brain felt like it was waking up after a long, dark sleep. Mr. Bennett and Toby became like my own family. Toby often visited me at the warehouse. He would bring me a fresh, red apple. We would laugh and talk about our cardboard castle in the alley. 10 years have passed since that frozen night. Today, I am a manager in the company. I help other people who are struggling to find work. I give them a chance, just like I was given a chance. I still keep a small, old piece of cardboard in a frame on my office wall. It reminds me of where I came from. It reminds me that a single night can change a life forever. As I look at that cardboard and I feel a deep peace in my soul. I am no longer the abandoned boy from the bus station. I am a man with a home. I am a man with a future. I realized that true education is found in your heart, not just in books. Kindness is like a tiny, small seed. If you plant it in the freezing cold, it will grow into a giant forest. I want to tell you something very important. Never judge a person by their dirty clothes or their messy hair. Sometimes, a real hero is hiding under a very old, broken coat. My journey proves that your character is the true foundation of success. Today, many people focus on big degrees and titles, but values like being kind and honest matter the most. First, be the person that others can always depend on. Reliability is your best ability. Second, never stop learning. It is never too late to gain new skills, even if you start with nothing. Finally, use your past to help other people. Your struggles can help you understand someone else's pain. Look for the Arthur in your city today. Their greatness might be hidden behind a rough face. Remember, A good heart is the best qualification you can ever have. Have you ever helped a stranger when you had very little? I would love to hear your story. Comment a heart symbol below if you believe kindness can change the world. Please like this video and subscribe for more emotional stories. Thank you so much for watching. Stay kind and goodbye for now.